my name is Hannah and this is Pepper and Pine. Today I want to share with you Lesson 4 from our Botany Main Lesson block. We are using a Waldorf curriculum from Live Education, but we typically stray from the curriculum quite a bit. But for this particular unit block, we did stick pretty closely to it, though we did depart from it occasionally to do other work. So we are wrapping up this portion of the lesson in which we did a pastel drawing on some pastel paper, and then we wrote some dictation up at the top, or actually just some written narration. This wasn't original, this was copy work from the curriculum itself. And I want to show you something here that sometimes happens where the writing that my son did kind of got messed up and he wasn't pleased with it. So I just had him write it down on another piece of paper, and then we're just going to take this piece onto the final project, which you probably have done this in the past, but sometimes you feel like, oh man, it's my original, I don't want to wreck it, but this is a really great solution, and I think it actually turned out better than had he just written on it. This is my sample. I always do one with the kids, whether it's on the chalkboard or just on paper, and this is my 6-year-old's drawing as well because she joined us. Now here's where we depart a little bit. Actually, we did a lot of different things with this unit and we continue to do so, but we do have this DK Eyewitness book, and it's for like the ocean and different marine life. And they had a nice section on seaweed. And so we decided to do a watercolor with the seaweed because we thought the medium of watercolors was appropriate for a plant that is in water. So I am going to do my sample on a small piece of watercolor paper, and this is so that we both have something to copy. I'm going to be doing 2 different types of seaweed. The one that has the little air pockets there, that is a common seaweed off the coast of California where we live. That's giant sea kelp. So we went ahead and did that one because we thought it was appropriate for both our location and for this part of our unit. So I went ahead and did this first. It took about 10 minutes to do the pencil drawing, and then I went ahead and watercolored it as well. So I'm showing you all the distress inks that I'm using here. These are ink pads, but you can also use them as watercolors. I'm just smushing them onto a non-porous surface, and then I use a little water, and it's just a nice way to get a nice range of colors, and then you don't really use all that much because you can see I only just smushed it once or twice, and that was about it. So it took me about 10 minutes to watercolor this little sample. And I really liked the way it turned out, and at this point I wasn't sure whether I wanted to go ahead and do the whole project over again on a larger piece of paper, but we do end up doing that so that we can put it into our final main lesson book, which I'm approaching a little bit differently for this unit because we're using so many different art mediums. We decided to bind our book at the end of this unit, and that way we can do some watercolors, some drawing, some pastel work, and any other thing that we want to do. Then we can bind it all at once at the end. So my son is on the left side, he is 10, and I am on the right side, and our little sample is off screen, and we're looking at it, and I'm guiding him through the process. Now, at the end, you'll see that he made a fairly large mistake, but neither of us mind, but the seaweed that he has that is on the right side, it's called oarweed. He's actually supposed to make it look like it's going behind the giant kelp, but it looks like it just got cut off and it's just not there anymore. So we can just imagine that some kind of animal came and nibbled away at it. But if you see mine, you'll be able to see that my oarweed goes behind my giant kelp. So that was just something that I missed explaining to him as he was drawing his pencil drawing, and that's because it was a little hard to keep track of what part of the drawing he was doing. So again, we're using our distress inks, and this time we're using a larger piece of watercolor paper. This is 90-pound watercolor paper by Fabriano, and it's 9 inches by 12 inches. And I picked it up from Dick Blick online, and I really like this watercolor paper a lot. However, it is not good for wet-on-wet watercoloring techniques. Now I added a little bit of glitter just because I had to. It looks really pretty the way it kind of shimmers. I really like the way this project turned out. Has both local significance as well as significance with our unit. And we plan to do more like this because we enjoyed this little diversion from the curriculum so much that we are going to continue with a little mini unit on oceanography before we go back into our botany main lesson block. So if you want to catch up on the rest of the videos for this Botany Main Lesson block, you can tap on the screen right now. If you want to check out some of the other projects that we're doing in our homeschool on a daily basis, you can find me on Instagram at Pepper and Pine.